in a promotion that is going to end the fourth quarter of 2025 on a great and positive note. The Ring 4 is bringing a fight before us that is the battle of the number 1 and number 2 rated welterweights as a co-main event to the main event, which will see David Benavidez defend his WBC light heavyweight title against Anthony Yarde. We're talking about Brian Norman Jr. putting his title on the line against Dazn "The Dream" Haney, who is looking to move up to his third weight class and be successful as a champion. And Brian is looking for the notoriety of taking on a former world champion and former undisputed champion to make his stake and claim toward being the best in this present division of welterweight. This fight is exciting. It has heat because the two combatants are in their virtual primes and they are motivated highly to not only compete against one another, but to compete against the consensus in boxing. And when that's on the line, it's always exciting. So let's talk about these two as they prepare for this night of history, Saturday, November 22nd. The Ring 4 is a card that will probably end up being the card of the year. 2025 has brought us a tremendous amount of great matchups, stories, bylines, successes, and failures. And it will be no different on Saturday, November 22nd, when Devin Haney challenges Brian Norman Jr. for his WBO welterweight title. Devin is moving up to the welterweight division and is seeking another title for his career legacy. Norman Jr. is looking for the next man, but also a man who will bring some spotlight, some luster. And so we have the number 2 rated against the number 1. Ironically, it's the gentleman who doesn't have the title who's rated number 1, but fast rising Norman Jr. is rated right there at number 2. 3 years separate them, as Devin Haney is the elder at 27. The heights are close, the reaches are close. 5'9" to 5'8" for Haney, 72 to 71 inch reach for Brian You see, when you get matchups like this, men in their virtual primes, men with something to prove, men who want something more than just being an also-ran, you get a fight like this. And though Norman Jr. hasn't had the names that Haney has had, it doesn't mean that he isn't as well deserving of consideration. The Riyadh Arena in Riyadh, Saudi is going to be off the chain when these two come into the ring. It really should have been the main event, but it's okay, because sometimes when fighters have that extra bit to shoot for, it leaves them with that fire to bring to the ring in their own match. And I believe that's exactly what's going to happen. When we look over their records, Norman Jr. is bringing his record of 28 wins, 0 losses, 22 KOs. He is known as the Assassin 2, son of Brian Norman Sr. And his greatest win so far to date was his June 19th victory over Jin Sasaki that took place in Ota City, Japan, where he knocked out Jin Sasaki in 5 rounds with a devastating left hook that left the man separated from recent memory and hospitalized, where he couldn't gather anything that had transpired on that night and anything that had happened before. So short-term memory was knocked away from Sasaki in that match. But it was something of a highlight reel knockout for Norman Jr. and he has taken advantage of it because they're calling it the knockout of the year. He calls it the knockout of the decade. But there are other circumstances that we have seen him, just like his fight against Derek Cuevas, which came just before that in March of this year, when he stopped Cuevas in 3 rounds, who was supposed to be a noted puncher. Once he tasted the power of Norman Jr., he said no mas. It was the May 2024 fight against Giovanni Santillan that put him on notice for the boxing community, because the battle with Santillan was supposed to be a setup bout for Santillan to face another fighter, but Norman Jr. had other plans. Defeating Santillan in a hard-fought 10-round bout that saw Santillan down twice in the 10th round before finally being stopped. Also, Norman Jr. is the type of fighter that will just step up to the plate to the next man. And in this instance now, we're talking Devin Haney, who's bringing his record of 32 wins, no losses, 1 no contest, and 15 KOs. Now the dream is moving up. We know what happened with his situation with Ryan Garcia that took place in April of 2024, which led to the no contest on his record. But he followed that up earlier this year in May with a victory over Juan Carlos Ramirez. The Ramirez fight saw Devin win an astonishing 12 out of 12 rounds. Ramirez was able to do nothing with Devin with his lateral movement and boxing ability, and he basically swam without getting wet. People who were detractors wanted to say that Devin is suffering from PTSD and that he didn't want to have contact and that he was really running away from any type of conflict with Ramirez. But understand that between the ropes, it's a fighter's responsibility to be able to have the nuance of cutting off the ring and forcing his type of fight. which Ramirez was not able to do. When we've seen Devin over the years, he has won fights in different ways. There are moments when he'll step to a fighter, there's a moment when he'll box at range, and there are moments when he'll use his lateral movement to get in and out. It's never the same with each opponent on a night out. But something tells me that when he gets in there with the likes of Brian Norman Jr., not only is he going to have to get the respect of Junior, he's going to have to be able to show him something that he hasn't seen, knowing that Devin has 30 fights under his belt and has had the experience of working with prominent fighters in the gym. Norman Jr. has had the opportunity to spar prominent fighters in the gym as well. These are the intangibles that the boxing public will know about, but the fight is not going to come down to that. I believe it's going to be about the fortitude of the individuals, because once you get past a certain amount of rounds, let's say 4 to 5 rounds, all of the skills and everything go out the window, and then it becomes a battle of wills and a testament to what the fortitude is of the individual. There are moments that will be drawn where fighters will have to lean upon what really makes them at their worth in that moment. And that's going to be something that's up in the air. We're talking about this being a true 50-50 fight. And I don't believe that power is going to decide it. Devin has shown that as he's been dropped in the past with Ryan Garcia's vaunted left hook, he got up to continue on with the fight and actually finished the fight on his feet, even though people talk about the fight as if he was KO'd in the fight because he touched the canvas 3 times. But basically won each and every round. In between, there was no knockdown. In the case of Brian Norman Jr., he's had cuts from head clashes and the battles that he's had. He's been dropped himself on the canvas and has gotten to his feet to fight back. So both men have shown resilience, but now it's going to be who can impact the will on the other on this night. I lean toward Devin Haney being victorious because he does fight in various manners. He can box, he can rumble, he can move, he can get on the inside, he can make you miss. There's diversity there. Brian Norman Jr. has stated that he can do the similar, but we haven't seen it yet, and that doesn't mean that he's not going to put it on display. One thing that I'm reminded of is the battle between Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns. That was a fight that saw both men going in with their reputations. Leonard being a fast-handed boxer puncher, and Tommy Hearns being a knockout puncher. He was noted as the Motor City Cobra when he first fought Leonard the first time. And during that fight, the boxer, Hearns, was outboxing Leonard, the puncher, until Angelo Dundee reminded Leonard that he was behind and he needed to step forward and do something to take this fight away from Hearns, otherwise he was going to lose. "You're blowing it, kid," was the sentiment that was expressed and forever is remembered in highlight reels, because Leonard went out after that and sought a KO victory, stalking Hearns until he was able to unleash a barrage of punches, ending the battle. That fight is historical for the action that took place, and there was a turning of the tide during that matchup. I believe this fight can be similar. Devin is noted as the boxer here, and Norman Jr. is noted as the puncher. I believe that Norman Jr. can display boxing, which may in turn make Devin Haney have to fight. You See what I mean about history and the whole idea of it repeating itself? These are welterweights, just like those guys were. Leonard was the elder over Hearns during their fight, just as Haney is over Norman Jr. during this one. I'm not saying it's going to play out that way. I'm simply reminding you that going in, what you know of these two fighters is definitely something to take note of, but do not be surprised if they reveal aspects of their game that you didn't see going into the fight, and the adjustments will be made that the fight has an ebb and flow and a turning of the tide that was not considered when they went in. So all in all, look for an exciting matchup between these two men, and we might even get another battle out of it. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. This is one to tune in to and not to miss. This is Stormy B Man. Shout out to the Mike, LDBC, and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts about these two gentlemen, and who do you have winning? Do you think Brian Norman will be able to influence with power, or do you think Devin will be able to influence with boxing, or vice versa? Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.